we have 90 minutes to talk about one of my favorite topics, which are habits. Look what I have prepared for this lecture. Because our brain loves not to think. Have you already realized this? Your brain is fascinated by not having to think. Your brain is a true jockey of the autopilot. Your brain, if it were, would repeat the life you have repeated today during the rest of your existence. That is, it would repeat what you have done today, tomorrow, past, and within 15 years. And knowing this, one can ask himself and say, hey, why am I going to fight with my brain if I already know that it likes this? So what we are going to do is give it habits, which is what it likes the most. Give it a daily routine, give it something that it is able to repeat, but that leads our life to the place that we have previously chosen. That is, this lecture is based on the idea that your brain is amazed, it hallucinates, it is a true jockey of the autopilot, so I'm going to give it autopilot. But I'm going to give it autopilot of the good. That is, instead of making bad decisions every day, what I'm going to do is make good decisions every day until they are integrated into my life so that all I have to do is get up and repeat what I know is going to take my life to a good place, without having to formulate any further questions. Look, the idea is the following. It is preferable that your daily habit makes the decision for you than that you have to make it for yourself. Because if you make it for yourself, we already know that we make bad decisions, yes or no. That is, you open the fridge and say, today I'm going to change, yes or no. And then you say, today I decide. And then maybe you decide one day, but the next day, as you don't have it in habit, who decides for you? Your brain decides for you. And then what is it going to do? The same thing it has been doing all the history of your life. So, knowing this, what I'm going to propose to you are going to be a series of habits to improve our health, a series of habits to improve professionally. And I don't know if anyone will be interested, but well, a series of habits to improve economically. Do you find the menu of today interesting? Well, come on, let's go for it. Well, the idea is the following. We have to understand how the brain of the human being works. And the brain of the human being works in the following sequence. First, it thinks. That is, we generate a thought. Thought leads us to have an emotion. Do you know that sometimes you say, oh, I feel bad? Well, it's very easy. If you feel bad, it's because you have thought badly. How cool, how simple. Because sometimes you wake up in the morning and you say, oh, I feel like this. Who has this happened to? You wake up one day in the morning and you say, I feel like apathetic. Who has this happened to? Only 5 or 6, right? The rest of you have been here. Well, it's very simple. If you feel bad, that's because you have thought badly. That is, the origin of everything is in the thoughts that one has. So, if I want to feel differently, I already know what the trick is. It's very simple. I have to think differently. Then we will see habits to learn to think differently. So thought generates emotion. The emotion, which figure, the Latin root is to move. That is, it is movement, leads us to action. And action is what truly changes our lives. It is what truly generates transformations in the medium and long term in our lives. But look how the chain goes. It starts in thought. A thought generates an emotion generates an action. And here comes the interesting part. An action repeated several times generates a habit. Or it could also generate a routine, which is something that we repeat, but without intention. Do we see the difference? My life is full of routines. That is, your life is full of things you do that you don't think, that you repeat in one way or another. My life is full of habits. A habit implies awareness. A habit implies that I choose to repeat that in an intentional way to achieve a goal. But notice that we go from thought to emotion to action, and action, a single day, will never change your life. But a repeated action, luckily, generates a habit. And this is where the wonderful thing about transformation comes in, and the topic that I like to study the most, which is the whole part of human transformation. What we are going to focus on today is how to generate habits. Why do habits generate results? Do we understand the sequence? Yes, right? The point is that we see our results in life, and we see them isolated. That is, we see the results on one side, and we hallucinate. Then I meet people who say, no, I'm stuck. But they speak as if they said, no, it's just that a green monster with fluorescent pink antennas is in the elevator in my house and I don't understand why. That is, a thing as if there were no cause and effect relationship. But we live in a world, fortunately or unfortunately, of causes and effects. And the cause of everything is in the thought. The good news is that we can influence from the habit. Because if we generate a habit in our life, thanks to our willpower, and all of you in this room have willpower, we can generate changes in thought. Do you understand the idea? Change in thought can generate change in habit. But if you behave in a certain way, you generate changes in thought. That is why in the seminars, we insist so much on the idea of changing the contexts of your life, changing the place where your life develops, changing the activities of your life. You say, no, I'm going to have thoughts of wealth. But honestly, it is very difficult to have thoughts of wealth in Uncle Manolo's bar, full of napkins on the floor and dirty and smelly, and with the TV in the background. Yes or no? You imagine, man, you can do it, but it's really more complicated. So, what I'm telling you is, generate your life, fill your life with habits that allow you, in turn, to support the new thought that you want for your life. Shall we start with health habits? Yes or no? Come on, let's go for it. Come on, let's go for it. Health habits, well, the first idea is that health is the natural thing in life. Notice, what I say is obvious, but it is the obvious thing. The natural thing in your life, the natural thing in your body, the natural thing of nature is that your body is overflowing and full of health. And when there is no health, that is, that your body, but not wrong in a categorical and moralistic sense. Understand me, it is simply that your system, that your body is warning you that there is something that does not fit in your life. That is, that there is no coherence. Notice that we can think something on one side, feel something on the other side. We can still say something different, and we could still do a fourth different thing. That is, we could live in absolute lack of coherence. But notice that when you live thinking, feeling, doing, and saying in the same direction, there is coherence. And from there, it is going to be much more complicated that your body is sick, which I insist, is the way your body has to tell you, man, you are going wrong here, speaking in silver. And you know that there is a lot of bibliography today that relates you,
and 2 sheets, very good. 2 pairs of sheets, very good. But I invite you to adopt this habit and to see the positive consequences that it has in your life. The fewer processed foods you have, the more mental lucidity you have. I insist and repeat this. The fewer processed foods you have, the more lucidity you have in your day-to-day. And I can promise you, as my name is Sergio, that I have experienced change in my life. And come on, not only me, but many people. So you don't need to eat anything fried. You don't need to eat anything processed. The other day, I made a trip. Normally I go by plane, but the other day I came by car from a distance of 400 kilometers to Madrid, and I left and I noticed hunger. First thing I do, I stop and buy a bottle of water, and I look at the gas station. I take a walk there, and I say, there is nothing, so I'm leaving. I stop at another gas station 200 kilometers later, and I repeat exactly the same operation. I say, but I prefer to go hungry to eat that. Do you see the idea? I mean, I'm not going to intoxicate my body. I think each one is the maximum it does. The maximum it is in the minimum it does. That is to say, if you allow yourself to enter a gas station because you are hungry, to poison yourself with any of the things that are legally accepted and that are sold there, in some way, what you are saying is that what you are worth is that. Am I explaining myself? I am not judging. I'm saying my point of view, and that's it. No one feels judged because I am not trying to do that. I simply propose a different idea of valuing your health habits. I tell you, what need do you have to do that if the only thing I'm going to do is to fill your stomach with diarrhea and have your digestive system working for a long time? Do we see the idea? I mean, eat less than necessary and do not go to a supermarket. The formula is very simple. For me, it is very simple. If my grandfather or my grandmother doesn't understand it, a priori, or when they lived in the village, they would not have bought it, I would not buy it. Do you see how easy it is? Hey, can I have a flan? Of course. Do it at home. But my grandfather would have bought this 70 years ago. No, he would not have bought it. Neither would I. Do you see how easy it is? And then the 20% of the diet, yes, suddenly I say, hey, as I like this, great, I'll buy it. Even if my grandmother didn't understand it, even if it is in a supermarket, even if it is the most poisonous thing. We understand the idea, but there has to be a certain balance. What cannot be is that we are constantly taking processed foods and foods that do not have food, let us say. I mean, they are like pieces of cardboard actually. No, it cannot be, but we are going to upload it to the YouTube channel. Do not worry, because we are going to send a link and you will be able to see it. Well, next idea, use common sense. I know that there will be 100,000 scientists who will explain to you, and they will tell you that nothing happens because you freeze, and that nothing happens because you heat something. 3 times. I propose you not to freeze, turn off the freezer directly, and so you have no doubt, and do not overheat. I cannot scientifically, I'm not even interested in demonstrating it. It seems to me that it makes no sense to take a raw food, first process it and cook it, then freeze it and then defreeze it and reheat it. I don't know. If someone thinks this is sensible, let him explain it to me. I don't think so, and therefore I don't do it. The idea is always the same. take foods as close to nature as possible, and you will notice the energy change in your body. I only ask you one thing, and that is to be attentive to how food influences your way of thinking. The days you eat badly, you think badly. The days you eat well, you think well. It is not as simple as this. There are more factors, and almost nothing in life is a consequence of a single cause. Almost all the things that happen to us in life are multifactorial. But the truth is that it is an important factor. Shall we continue? Do you find it interesting? Great. Well, more things. Another habit that I propose to you is that 70% of your diet is vegetarian. 70%. Some people put their faces as if I had told them that you have to go from here to Paris on your knees, without knee pads, raining and with umbrellas. But what is richer than eating well and finishing eating and being full and absolutely full of energy? And notice that I told you 70%. I'm not even telling you that you do it absolutely. I'm telling you 70% of your diet is vegetarian, and consume it as close to nature and as little processed as possible, and observe the consequences. It's the only thing I'm telling you. Personal, you attend to the professional, and you attend to the social. If every day you attend to what is truly priority and important in your life, when your life ends, as your life is composed of many small photocopies that are all your days, in the end, your life will make sense. If your day to day, when you go to bed, doesn't make sense, except that you make a determination, and you make it now, the most likely is that in the autumn of your life, in the sunset of your life, when you check, and that is something that we will all have to do sooner or later.
Breaking a habit does not mean erasing it, but reprogramming it. The brain does not easily forget old pathways, yet it can build new ones when we change the routine while keeping the same cues and rewards. The golden rule says, you cannot remove a habit, but you can replace it. Practical steps for change. Clearly identify the cue and the reward, for awareness is the first step to transformation. Change only the behavior, keeping the structure the same. Example, if you tend to eat when you are stressed, try deep breathing or walking instead. Repeat the new behavior until it becomes deeply rooted in your subconscious and turns into a new habit that replaces the old one. Intentional awareness is the doorway, and persistence is the bridge that carries us from understanding to transformation. Building habits of success. Small positive habits create great transformations over time. The 1% daily improvement principle from Atomic Habits by James Clear reminds us that steady accumulation is stronger than sudden bursts. If you improve by 1% every day, you will be 37 times better after 1 year. Simple but powerful habits. Reading for 10 minutes a day. Making your bed every morning. Writing one thought of gratitude daily. Walking for half an hour outdoors. Success is not the result of grand decisions, but the outcome of small, consistent habits that slowly build a new identity. Philosophy and habit. Since Aristotle, philosophers have questioned the link between freedom and habit. Aristotle said, "We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit." Habit, then, is not a prison for the will, but a stable form of freedom, a pattern of behavior that serves our values rather than our impulses. The mind and thought in transformation. To reshape our habits, we must awaken the higher faculties of the mind, those that allow us to think clearly and choose consciously. Thinking and communicating with clarity and precision. striving to express what we mean accurately, avoiding generalizations and distortions, and grounding our words in evidence and reasoning. Gathering data through all the senses. The mind learns not in isolation. Each sense is a doorway to the world, and through mindful observation, we reprogram our understanding of reality. Creativity and innovation. Imagining new solutions, exploring alternatives, taking calculated risks. Creativity arises from courage, not perfection. Responding with wonder and curiosity. Approaching life with the eyes of a child, seeing every problem as an opportunity to learn and every discovery as a spark of awe. Taking responsible risks, stepping beyond comfort zones without recklessness, viewing uncertainty as a teacher, and treating confusion as part of growth. Thinking interdependently, learning from others, listening deeply, and valuing the collective mind over individual certainty. Continuous learning, seeing life as an endless school where every experience, even failure, is raw material for evolution. Conclusion. Breaking habits is not merely a behavioral exercise, it is a journey of awareness toward the self. We reshape who we are each time we act with intention and direct our energy toward who we wish to become. When we learn to observe our habits instead of living in them, we take the first real step toward freedom.
Fear is that faint voice whispering within us whenever we approach a new step, an unfamiliar risk, a dream that seems larger than our capacity. It is the feeling that binds the will, that makes us postpone decisions and live with only half our energy. But the truth is that fear is not the enemy we imagine. It is an intelligent signal from within, softly saying, "Be aware. There is something here worth handling consciously." Joseph O'Connor, in his book Free Yourself from Fear, explains that the problem is not in the existence of fear, but in how we interpret it. Everyone feels fear, yet the strong are not those who deny it, but those who understand it. At its core, fear is not weakness. It is a sign that we are trying to protect something valuable, our status, our dreams, our image before others, or simply ourselves. Thus, the first step toward liberation is not resistance, but understanding. When you feel fear, do not run from it. Ask it instead, "What are you trying to protect me from?" You will often find that behind most fears lies a positive intention, the desire for safety, success, or love disguised behind anxiety. Once you understand the message fear carries, it loses much of its power, as if it has been stripped of its authority over you. For emotions we understand no longer control us. We guide them instead. O'Connor's second piece of advice is to act despite fear. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the ability to move forward in its presence. Most people wait for the day when fear disappears before they begin, but that day never comes. Action weakens fear. Fear never weakens action. When you take the first step, anxiety retreats because you offer yourself tangible proof that you are capable. Fear also feeds on uncertainty. The more vague the picture, the greater it grows. So, break it down into details. What exactly are you afraid of? What is the worst that could happen? When you put your fears into words, they become clearer and smaller. The book likens fear to a shadow. It appears larger than life when unseen, but shrinks the moment you face it in the light. Among the most effective tools the author recommends are deep breathing, mindfulness, and observing inner dialogue. Fear does not live in the present moment. It dwells in what if. Each time you train your mind to return to the now, fear loses its grip. In the end, the book invites you to see fear not as a lifelong jailer, but as a temporary companion. Its presence does not mean you are weak. It means you are deeply alive, responsive to growth and change. A person who never fears, never learns. Courage, then, is not in killing fear, but in befriending it and walking beside it towards what you desire, even with a trembling heart. Freedom from fear does not arrive in a single moment. It unfolds as a journey of awareness, one step at a time. And with every small act of courage, you discover that you are stronger than you believed, and that fear was never the wall. It was the doorway to the bravery that has lived within you all along.
Success in the 21st century is no longer defined by luck or technical skill alone. It's powered by mindset. In a world of constant change and disruption, those who thrive share a common foundation: strong mental habits that help them adapt, grow, and stay focused on what truly matters. Here are the 10 mental habits that distinguish today's most successful people and how you can develop them. 1. Positive thinking and an optimistic outlook. Success begins in the mind. High achievers see challenges as opportunities for growth and view failure as a stepping stone rather than a setback. Their optimism keeps them motivated and resilient even when the odds seem against them. 2. Consistency and self-discipline. Random effort rarely leads to lasting success. The most successful individuals cultivate discipline, the ability to stay focused on long-term goals and resist distractions. They show up every day, whether they feel like it or not, and persist until they reach their destination. 3. Lifelong learning and self-development. Knowledge has an expiration date in our rapidly evolving world. The successful mind is one that's constantly learning through books, online courses, mentorship, or simply curiosity. Continuous learning keeps their skills sharp and their ideas fresh. 4. Critical thinking and informed decision-making. Rather than following the crowd, successful thinkers question assumptions, analyze data, and make decisions based on evidence and logic. They understand that every choice shapes their path, so they choose wisely, not impulsively. 5. Flexibility and adaptability to change. In a world that never stands still, adaptability is the ultimate competitive edge. Successful people don't resist change, they embrace it, adjusting their plans and strategies to match new realities. They see flexibility not as weakness, but as intelligence in motion. 6. Solution-oriented thinking. When problems arise, successful minds don't dwell on what's wrong, they focus on how to fix it. Instead of complaining, they innovate. This problem-solving mindset turns obstacles into opportunities for creativity and progress. 7. Patience and perseverance. True success takes time. The road may be long and full of setbacks, but successful individuals keep going. They trust the process, remain patient with themselves, and understand that persistence often outlasts talent. 8. Communication and relationship building. In the 21st century, no one succeeds alone. Strong communication and the ability to build genuine relationships are essential. Successful people listen actively, express themselves clearly, and create networks of trust that multiply their impact. 9. Effective time management. Time is the most valuable currency of success. High achievers plan their days with purpose, prioritize what truly matters, and avoid distractions that drain their focus. Every minute is an investment in their goals. 10. Taking calculated risks. Success often demands courage. The most accomplished individuals are not reckless. They take smart risks. They evaluate potential gains and losses, make informed decisions, and use every outcome, good or bad, as a lesson for growth. Conclusion: thriving in the 21st century requires more than adapting to technology. It demands mastering the mind. By developing these 10 mental habits, from positive thinking to disciplined time management, you equip yourself to turn ambition into achievement and vision into reality. The future belongs to those who train their minds to think, grow, and lead with purpose.
Empowering future generations through innovative education. Empowering future generations with the kind of education that enables them to master modern and advanced knowledge remains a significant challenge, even for the most developed nations. In 2010, U.S. President Barack Obama launched an ambitious initiative titled Education for Innovation, aimed at enhancing students' capabilities in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, STEM, over the coming decade. This integrated framework was designed to expand and strengthen the innovative capacity of American learners. As part of this initiative, $250 million was allocated to launch and implement a program for training and retraining American teachers. The goal was to prepare 10,000 new science and mathematics teachers, while simultaneously retraining 100,000 current educators already teaching these subjects in U.S. schools. Among the key elements linked to academic performance across educational stages are habits of mind, a critical set of cognitive dispositions. Numerous studies since the beginning of the 21st century have emphasized the importance of teaching, reinforcing, discussing, and evaluating these habits with students. Providing consistent encouragement helps learners internalize them until they become an integral part of their intellectual and personal identity. Yusuf Khatami, 2007. The concept of habits of mind has been defined in various ways, reflecting the diversity of perspectives and theoretical approaches that have examined it. These definitions can be categorized according to their origin and focus, allowing us to arrive at a more comprehensive and unified understanding of what habits of mind truly represent.